Dr. Bruce Bloom, health doctor, White Plains. I can't tell you enough how many people I've sent to him that he's been able to turn them around on their health. My favorite Bruce Bloom line is, don't worry about losing weight, worry about gaining health. Is that a fair introduction?
That's a great introduction.
Thank you very much. I could spend an hour introducing you because I can't believe how many people you help. And what I love about the way you help them is the way you're able to break it down simplistically, so that it pertains to me. I get it. And it's hard. When you think about the most important asset you have is your body, and it's amazing how many people don't really know much about how their own body works.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah.
If you have a question for Dr. Bloom, this is a participation sport. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple of things about health, fitness, how you get yourself to a better place, especially as you're aging in your 40s. And then we'll take some Q&A. We got Ben over there by the Q&A by the board, so write in any questions you have, anything that's bothering you. Did it surprise you that 90 million Americans wake up every day in pain? Does that shock you?
It only shocks me in the context that they don't have to. 90 million Americans are out there doing things that their body's telling them is not working, and they're not listening.
Do you think because they just quit, they don't think they could reverse it?
I think it's because people have been misinformed about, the purpose of pain is to create change. Pain isn't the problem. Pain is the way your body tries to communicate to you that there is a problem. When you stick your hand on a hot stove, pain is not your problem. It's your hand on the hot stove that's the problem. So the purpose of pain in the human body is to really encourage change. You know what the definition of suffering is? People who don't make the change. So if you kept your hand on the hot stove, you would suffer, right?
Absolutely. Like I always talk about, if you have a problem that money can fix, you don't have a problem. Are you saying that if you have a pain or discomfort, if you're open to change, more than likely that discomfort can go away or be fixed?
I mean, it depends on the level.
Yeah.
I mean, there are points when systems have broken down to the point where they can't recover. Nobody's been able to take dead and make it undead. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a hip that's deteriorated and there's not a whole lot you can do to bring it back to life. Thank God that they have surgical interventions and things like that. But I think for maybe 60 to 80% of the population, their systems are still in a situation where they could recover. There's an injury, but injuries can recover if you're willing to play the game. If you sprained your ankle, the conversation would be very simple. Here's the good news, here's the bad news. The good news is we don't have to cut your leg off. But, the bad news is we probably don't want you to go out dancing tonight. We want you to reduce stress to this tissue that's been injured. It hasn't been killed. It's not ripped. It doesn't need a surgical intervention. It just needs some time to repair itself. Well, what if that is your digestive tract? What if you're coming in with acid reflux, which just is an indication of an injured stomach or irritable bowel or any kind of constipation or digestive issues? Most of those issues are just indicators that there's an injured system.
It seems like a lot more people have acid reflux and those kinds of things. What's the trigger on that? She always say to me, you don't just get diabetes too, or you don't get arthritis. You order it.
Right. It's a verb, not a noun. It's you don't have diabetes, you're diabetesing. You don't have acid reflux, you're acid refluxing. Your stomach is injured, and when your stomach is injured and your own acid or something that you're bringing in from the outside world that irritates it, it's going to cause it to reflux up. I mean, that's normal human physiology. Your body's trying to tell you a story. The story is there's an injury, and most people are not listening to this story because it's very easy in today's world to take something to make you not feel the pain or discomfort. It's too convenient.
As opposed to finding out what's wrong
As
and dealing
opposed to
with
finding, I mean, most of the reasons for the medications are palliative, right? They're not corrective. I mean, corrective would be if you had an infection and here's an antibiotic that kills that infection. That's corrective. If you have fever and chills and you're taking medication to manage that, that's palliative. Fever and chills are not your problem. It's the infection that's the problem. Now, eventually, if the infection goes away, then fever and chills go away. So, I think that people have been misinformed, and I think there's a whole industry out there that's really gone under the radar screen. And the reason it's gone under the radar screen, in my opinion, is because health insurance doesn't pay for preventing a problem. Health insurance is very similar to car insurance. It pays for the crash. It does not pay for the oil change. It does not pay for the tire rotation. It doesn't pay for the prevention of the crash. So even though health insurance doesn't cover it, it doesn't mean that there isn't a system out there that can help assist your body in repairing and recovering, or in a sense, trying to prevent the crash or delay it.
Are you a crash preventer?
Yes.
Or do most people come to you and they've crashed the car or the body?
If you've crashed the car and it's particularly a serious problem, then don't come to me. That's a medical issue. That's a 911 visit. If you ripped your ankle to shreds and there's nothing that ankle can do to recover, then you're going to need intervention. So most people come in to see me who are somewhere, on that trajectory, heading towards that direction, but their system still hasn't failed yet.
Like me.
Like you.
Yeah, I was
right.
on that
right.
on the highway.
Yeah, it wasn't a 911 visit. You weren't in dire need of immediate care, but your body was telling you a story. It was saying, "Hey, you know what, Brandon? I don't like the way you're treating me. I don't like what you're bringing in. I don't like what you're not bringing in. I don't like the fact that you're not sleeping as well as your body's telling you a story." And yes, the next day when you wake up after stressing your body and not, are you supposed to feel good? You're not supposed to. Your body is a great guide at telling you when you're not doing something correctly. That's one of the reasons why we focus on people who are overweight, because you can't pretend that you're not overweight. You can't hide. I can't tell you right now if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol without doing an intervention. But I can certainly look at people and say, hey, you're accumulating a lot of excess non-productive weight. The accumulation of excess non-productive weight is an indicator that you're bringing in things that your body can't use, process, or get rid of. What do you think is going to happen over time?
You're going to blow up.
Yeah, and
the
you're going to cause
question is,
damage.
how do you get people interested in those numbers? Like, I'm interested in my bank account numbers. I'm interested in how much money I have left on my mortgage, but they're not interested in the amount of health they have left in their life, or has heard those health numbers around.
Sure.
Doctors, when you go see them, they don't get into the numbers that much.
Well, because they're not using the right tools. If you come in and you're using a scale and you say, oh, Brandon, you're 210 pounds. What does that mean? But there is a technology now that's been around for a lot of years that can tell you exactly what makes up that 210 pounds.
Which would you say is critical?
Oh my God, absolutely critical. It should be standard in every physical examination, because once you have that number, you can track that person over time. So let's say you decide you're not going to do anything, and a year later you come back, and let's say the number's the same, and we do the composition analysis and nothing's changed. You can say, hey, that's not a bad year for you, right? There's no indication that your body is saying, hey, you're hurting me, or, But what if you come in a year later or 6 months later and you've now gained some body fat, lost some muscle mass, you're retaining water, your energy levels are down? What a great time to intervene, right? What a great time. You have an opportunity to turn that around before it becomes a more serious, complicated problem. Once you get past a certain point, Brandon, there's nothing once your kidneys can no longer, work, there's no correction for that.
Which brings me to the point where a lot of people put the emphasis on healthy as far as your weight. But we've seen a lot of skinny people that are worse than people that are obese.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's what's deceiving. Some people say, well, I'm skinny. I'm like, yeah, but the makeup of that skinniness could be treacherous.
Totally.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's where people don't really understand. They think because their weight isn't a problem, they seem to be a reasonable size. They actually convince themselves that they're healthy.
Right.
But they're really not.
They're not. But if you did a compositional analysis and you broke their weight down into compartments, you can look at the human body as a business. There's overhead and revenue. Your revenue's going down and your overhead's going up. If you were a businessman and you saw that, would you take an action step?
You killed me with that line, and I still hate you for that line, but I appreciate you said, Brand, if your body was a business, you'd be bankrupt. And that was just a knockout punch when I was in your office. That was like about almost 15 years ago,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're like, do you know how much money is in your bank account? Yeah, well, you have no idea what's going on in that body because you're about to be bankrupt.
But in that relationship,
Brandon,
but in that relationship, I was the messenger. I wasn't, I was just telling, you're hiring me to be an advocate for your body. I would love to tell you that your body's great, everything's, wonderful, and, keep doing what you're doing. But if the information suggests that, hey, your system isn't so great, and it's not so happy, and it could work better, what better time to intervene? Again, you're going to go in one of two directions. You're going to go towards health and improve function, or towards failure.
You got to take an interest in it, though, just the
Yeah,
same way you would. Because
yes.
most people, if you don't know a lot about it, you tend not to be that interested in it. You
Right.
got to take an interest, and also you got to be educated a little
You got to
bit
be
more
educated, and
how
you got
things work.
to participate in the process. The process is not here. Just take this pill, and and everything will be okay.
You hear about all these diets, and by the way, if you have a question for Dr. Bloom, please chime in. We're going to do your little Q&A in a few minutes. Love to hear any problem you're having or something you want to bring up. We're going to attack it. You hear about all these crazy diets, the no carb diet, or these the don't eat before noon, and then your take on some of these. Is there any of these diets that really are?
Well, Brandon, there are about 6 to 8 billion people on this planet, all who are different genetically. I mean, it's like, is there one pair of eyeglasses that's going to work for everybody's eyes? Half the population is nearsighted, half the population is farsighted. You're going to come up with a pair of lenses that works for all people? I mean, it's just silly. Metabolically, everybody's so different. When people come into my office, you have to factor into the equation 3 separate variables. Number one is genetics, and the genetic differences between people are enormous. I mean, look at skin color. My wife is very light-skinned. If I say the word sun to her, she gets red. I have, friends who are much darker-skinned who can, so I wouldn't hire my wife to be a professional sunbather in the tropics. Her skin. And so there's genetics, and the second factor is age. Our bodies do work differently at different stages of your life. I mean, I'm a 64-year-old man. I have 64-year-old parts, They do not work. They're not as elastic as they were when they were 25-year-old parts. So yeah, you have to make some adjustments as a result of age. And then third factor is the environment. How well have you treated your body over that period of time? If you're a smoker, and you've been smoking and I'm not criticizing smokers, but if you've been smoking for 20 years, your lungs are going to look a lot more beat up than if you didn't smoke for those 20 years. And it's not because of age, it's because of the environment, of what you've done. So you have to factor into the equation those 3 very separate, very independent variables. So to get back to your original question, is there one diet that works for all people? No, because there's no one person. Again, factor in those 3 factors. Genetics. There are people, by the way, who have very fast metabolisms, who can process fuel all day long without any seeming, effortlessly, without any problem. In the same context, there are people, if you say the word calorie to them, they gain 2 pounds, genetic variations. You can't be, you're born a chicken, not a duck. You're going to have to live like a chicken.
That's fair. Do you think you hear about these diets, where you're a vegetarian or gluten free, or do you think people even understand what all that means, or has that been overplayed? Or
I think it's overplayed. I don't think people understand. I don't think people, gluten is just a protein found in wheat, and for some people whose digestive systems can't break it down, it can create some significant problems downstream. Downstream meaning it gets into your small intestine, and it's going to be greeted by an immune system that says, "What the heck is this?" and it starts attacking it and causing all sorts of problems. If you digest it upstream, there's no problem.
Wow. I mean, there's just so much to talk about here. And do you think people drink enough of this? And how overrated is the drinking water? It seems to be such a big part now of our day-to-day in this country. Are we on the right track with this?
Yes. I think that, we could argue that we're historically an underhydrated nation. Not that people don't drink liquid. They drink a lot of liquid. But their liquids are more dehydrators than hydrators.
Such as?
Well, such as sodas and coffee and alcohol, and most of the sports drinks that people are drinking are not hydrators. They're actually dehydrators. It's a kind of a comical world we live in when you start really breaking it down. Just as a silly example, I used to teach anatomy and physiology, and we had just gone over the respiratory system. And I said to this group of students, I said, all right, just out of curiosity, how many of you drink carbonated beverages? Pretty much everybody raised their hand. I said, all right, I know you're going to think I'm a real idiot, and I am. I said, how many of you drink urine? Thank God nobody raised their hand. I said, all right, so you think I'm a jerk, right? Let's do a little mental exercise. So when you carbonate a beverage, what do you carbonate it with? It's carbon dioxide. What's carbon dioxide to the human body? It's actually human waste. Carbon dioxide is what you're trying to get rid of. It's what your lungs are trying to blow out. Carbon dioxide mixes with water and actually makes water acidic.
So if you're drinking a lot of sparkling water, club soda, bad?
Yeah, crazy. You're drinking water with added human waste. You're drinking acidic water.
Why would you drink any of that?
Well, because it's marketed very well, and
Right.
it
Like sometimes I
feels
drink
good.
that, it just feels it helps with my digestion. It kind of gives me a little move some stuff around.
Maybe.
Is that a delusional or is that
I'd rather not answer that question, but
if I'm delusional or if the sparkling water is of any help to me? No,
Both,
because
yeah.
when I grew up in my house, we had the seltzer bottle.
yeah, of course.
And you drank some seltzer at the end, and my aunt was like, "That helps your digestive."
Yeah, those are not true. As a matter of fact, it actually carbon dioxide in that context can actually cause damage to the lining of your digestive system.
I got to stop drinking sparkling water then. I've cut down because I remember you mentioning to me about this. You're making your body work way too hard with the bubbles, and you're not drinking as much water as you think.
Right.
Because you drink sparkling water,
Well,
it's
again,
only really half the amount of water you probably need to drink.
Yeah, it's acidic water. There was a
Yeah.
great 60 Minutes piece a few months back, or many months back, on this guy who lives off the coast of Connecticut who became an ocean farmer. He was growing like this edible algae.
Oh yeah, I saw
right?
that. Yeah, it was cool.
And one of the things that he noticed is that because of the growth of this algae, the algae was consuming a lot of the carbon dioxide in the water, which was, by the way, too high and making water acidic. And all of a sudden, plant life started to reappear. Right? Things started to regrow. Think about, the fact that there's a high CO2 footprint, and a lot of that is absorbable in water, making ocean water more acidic, causing coral reefs to break down, and, killing plant life.
Wow. Ben, we got some question for Dr. Bloom here. And by the way, you just click below if you want to find out more information. You'll get to his Facebook, and I think we're going to actually put an email address on there if you have any questions. I highly, and I've never pushed you guys on anything, highly, if you're not feeling great, I highly recommend paying a visit to this man because he has saved more of my friends and more people I know's lives and the quality of their lives. It's unimaginable. I can go on and on about this, but if you want to know the truth, you're ready to take action, this is a no-brainer, by the way. And this is not a diet. This is not a guy who's going to throw you on a quick little diet and call it a day, which I'm not saying other nutritionists don't do that. He's going to get to the bottom of your problem, and which is ultimately what you really need. And he did that for me, so I'm very grateful. A couple questions.
Yeah, the biggest questions that people are kind of consistently asking is, how do you lose weight?
Well, again, be careful what you wish for.
Can always cut off an arm.
Yes, exactly. I saw this when I was down in Georgia. In a strip mall, they had rapid weight loss, and I said, "You walk in, you come out without any legs. It's rapid weight loss."
Not a good idea.
No. I think that first and foremost, you have to define what it is you want to lose and not lose. Do you want to lose water? Because it's very easy to lose water. There's 0 calories in a pound of water. You can take a diuretic, and you can probably lose 4 or 5 pounds of water in 2 or 3 days. That'll make the scale look good. You'll look like crap, but the scale will look good. And it'll also lead to kidney stones and gallstones and other more complicating problems. I don't think the human body needs to be dehydrated, right? If you want to lose fat, it's a whole different story because remember, a pound of fat is about 3,500 calories of stored fuel. And usually the reason why your body stores fuel is because it can't burn it. So people who are coming in to see me who are overweight have a body that's saying, no, I can't burn that. So our goal then is to try to figure out why I can't burn it. Now, it could be just that you're just bringing way too much in. And for some, that's true. And some, it's just about counting calories and being. But for most people who come in to see me, by the time they come in to see me, they've had injured systems. Their digestive system may be not performing the way it's supposed to. Their liver is on overload. Oh, we're seeing so much of that.
Why?
In the literature, because your liver is a filter, and we're Americans and we eat and drink too much. Everything that you eat that comes in from the outside world has to go through filters before it can get into your circulatory system and potentially kill your brain, right? So if you look at the human body, you're a sports guy. The human body is designed basically under the philosophy that the best offense is a great defense. We're going to try to keep things out that's going to hurt us, and we're going to try to bring in things that are going to help us, right? That's how the human body works. And if you're trying to get into the human body naturally, How do you get in? You got two options. You're either going to get in through your respiratory system, gases that you breathe, and, meatballs are not going to come in that way. And you'd like to think that the air quality, certainly around here, is reasonably good. But, if you're a smoker, if you work in a coal mine, if you, happen to be in an environment where there's a lot of particles and debris in the air and you're inhaling them, then, there's a good chance that they're going to get in, right? And then once they get in, what does the body do with them? If you have a great system that can process and filter them out, you're fine. But what if you don't? But technically, the way you really get into the human body is through your digestive system. So much so that your body is so smart and it says, all right, if you're going to get in, we're going to try to protect you. Number one, we're going to line your digestive tract with about 80% of your immune system. Why would you put most of your army there? Because that's where the invasion is going to come from. And secondly, every blood vessel that leaves from your digestive system basically goes to your liver, which is this filter. Right? Now, like any organ, it has a point where it just can't handle anymore. And when it does, it starts to, by the way, it tries to protect you by storing as much as it can in fat. So
when you've drank too much or you've eaten way too much,
sure.
First instinct is for your body to protect you and try to work through that. But at some point, when you do it continuously, that's when
you're going to override the protective mechanism. But at the end of the day, when you study human physiology, everything that the body's trying to do is an attempt to try to protect itself. You may not like it. If somebody comes in with a bump on their head, the bump's not the problem. It's what plunked you over the head or what provoked you to react that way. And
most people think, sometimes they think they're heavy because it's hereditary or just bad luck, but that's really most likely not the case.
But you can say it's hereditary in the sense that you're born with a metabolism that doesn't process the same fuel at the same rate that somebody else, but that doesn't mean that you can't change the rate. It's like coming in with a car that requires a certain type of fuel, and you're fueling it the wrong way and saying, "Gee, this engine just sucks." And it's sucked throughout the history of my family for some reason. This engine's never worked well. Yeah, well, try you giving it the right fuel, and then maybe you'll find that the engine works a lot better than you think it is. We see that all the time in my office. People who come in who have lived with the belief that they have a bad metabolism. They've always had a bad metabolism. And then you put them on the right plan or help assist their body in clearing stuff out, fixing systems that have been damaged, and it turns out in the end they have great metabolisms. By the way, that's the best conversation I can have with somebody.
And it's typical because it's the one I had with you myself. Because I was just, my metabolism sucked. Right. But really, what I thought was ironic in our fix was not to eat less, but to eat less, but eat more often. Yeah. That was the better fix for me. Like when I get myself hungry by thinking I'm dieting or not eating or skipping a meal, the worst thing I could do. Right. Continue eating small pockets of healthy food, obviously. Better. I'm a better snacker if I'm eating healthy snacks.
Because your metabolism processes fuel at a slower rate. It likes slow and steady. You're the tortoise, not the hare.
Yeah.
Right? So if you bring in too much too quickly, where's it going to go?
Well, I think the challenge is you get the diet right, but then you start incorporating exercise in.
Oh, of course.
And now all of a sudden, what people don't realize is you got to adjust to that because now you got to eat even more.
Right.
You can't just work out a lot and then eat really well and then assume you're good. Yeah. And that's why I see a lot of people, the train comes off the track there because they haven't compensated their diet for this extra workout.
But when you define exercise, for most people, the amount of exercise they're doing is really not going to, just light up their metabolism. They may be exercising 45 minutes a day, an hour a day, reasonable activity. I'm not saying it's not good for you. It's good on so many different levels. But if you even on a EFX machine and it's counting calories, what are you, 300 calories? Right?
Yeah, 300-400 calories.
A 1 pound of fat is 3,500. So, it's not really going to do that. Now, if you're training for an Ironman triathlon or if you're, doing some really heavy duty endurance-based activity, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Exercise is going to completely change the dynamics of your metabolism because now your body is going to need more fuel.
One of your suggestions you had talked about is, if you're heavy and you're trying to lose weight, not to exercise right away. Get your diet right first.
Well, some people are so overweight that they're carrying around so much non-productive weight that if all of a sudden you start to exercise, first of all, the excess weight's going to cause damage to joints. And secondly, most people are overweight because they're not processing fuel. right? And so exercise doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to burn the fuel. You have to fix the systems that are involved in helping your body process fuel. So if you have a fatty liver or a clogged filter, I hate those terms. It's just so simple. If you have a clogged filter, unclog your filter before you take yourself out for a spin.
That's fair. Ben, a couple more.
Does diet affect psoriasis? This is from Michael.
Great question.
Great question. The answer, there's no yes or no answer, but yes, possibly. I mean, psoriasis is just, an inflammatory condition of your skin. A lot of times your skin is just, when your body's on overload, your skin becomes a secondary backup organ, and you start to excrete things through either your oil glands or sweat glands, which are, by the way, great excretory glands. And some of the things you're excreting can irritate your skin and cause some reactions.
It did for me. Like when I had the psoriasis,
Sure.
If you remember, on my elbows,
Yeah.
and it's all gone. I mean, how'd that happen? I changed my diet, and then I figured out what was
Right.
annoying my joints and caused me. I always remember you talking about like inflammation. Like why do you have inflammation? Like why? Because probably you're eating something that's annoying your joints, or
Well, inflammation is
could have a few different ways.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
inflammation is a verb, not a noun. You don't have inflammation, you're inflaming. Inflammation, by definition, literally means to set on fire. It's what your body does when there's damaged, injured, or irritated tissue. So if you have inflammation, your body's telling you that something's damaged, injured, or irritated, period. Now, it's not telling you what's it could be like right now your ankle's not inflamed, but if I twisted it and stretched those ligaments a little further, all of a sudden there'd be an inflammatory reaction.
Or you could be eating something that
Yes.
your body's not
Yes,
grooving
that's
to.
That's
and it's your body's
irritating.
reaction, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are certainly things that are pro-inflammatory and certainly things that are anti-inflammatory. Human physiology is simple and complicated. Simple and conceptually complicated in terms of the workings, the actual details. So your body has pro-inflammatory systems and anti-inflammatory systems. And technically, just like your body has, you have a muscle that does this, you better have a muscle that does that. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck like this all day long. You have things that can cause your blood to clot. You better have things that can unclot your blood. Otherwise, that clot's going to block an artery and more serious problems are going to occur. So the human body is about balance, right? It's about the body likes to stay in a certain zone. Your temperature doesn't go up to 400, it doesn't go down to 0. If it starts to go up even a little bit, a mechanism kicks in, sweating, right? If it goes up to 103, 104, oh my God, I mean, you feel like you're dying. So the human body is about balance, right? It doesn't like too much or too little. And it has control systems, opposite control systems to maintain that balance. You have something that drives your sugar levels up, you better have something that drives your sugar levels down, right? Everything is built on that. So when most people come in, a lot of times the systems that are trying to maintain that balance have been weakened. And now it's harder to regulate. So it's harder to control your blood pressure. It's harder to control your cholesterol levels. It's harder to control your uric acid levels or your blood sugar levels or whatever. The problem isn't cholesterol. The problem is your body's inability to regulate it effectively. Something happened. And you can say it's genetic.
And more than likely you did that something.
In many cases, yes. Not in all cases. Look, there are people who are born with serious, weaknesses, serious compromised systems. Luckily, they're a very, very small percentage of the population.
It's interesting because at the end, most people will use the excuse rather than if you really wanted to find out what was going on, you'd go on a really plain. Because that's, I think, the first thing I did when I saw you is like, listen, before we jump into anything, let's go to a very plain, simple diet, clean.
Let's control what comes in,
and let's see how you feel from there.
Yes,
right?
it could be that simple. Let's just control what comes in. Let's not bring in too much right now.
That's a good starting point for people out there.
Absolutely,
like, get to a really plain, simple diet, and then kind of work from there. Because most people are like, I'm just not going to eat for 3 days, or I'm going to eat one meal.
Right. And that's silly because your body does need nourishment. It likes fuel and needs fuel, and if you're not going to eat, your system is still going to burn something. In human physiology, the primary organ in your body is your brain. Your brain is number one. So your brain has to be fed first. and your brain loves to burn sugar. So if you're not eating and your sugar levels go down, your body's going to have to do something to keep your brain alive. So it's going to produce a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is great because it'll raise your blood sugar levels. It's also a stress hormone. Now, that's a wonderful thing because it's keeping your brain alive, but over time you start losing control of that system, and then, problems arise.
Like what?
Well, you start to not be able to feed your brain, and anxiety, depression, fatigue, chronic fatigue. I mean, cognitive impairment. Things like that.
Loss of memory a little bit.
Loss of memory,
right?
sure. Yeah.
It's not. It's complicated, but not really. I mean, it's amazing how much stuff feeds off of what you're feeding yourself.
Absolutely.
Right.
It feeds off of what comes in and what doesn't. So I mean, it could be that you got bitten by a mosquito and you got a virus or a infection that causes malaria. This microbe gets into your body, and for whatever reason your immune system can't manage it, and it causes some serious complications. You can say that same thing with the HIV virus. President Trump referred to HIV. If it gets into your body, it's very difficult for certain immune systems to manage, and certainly it creates a lot of long-term complications. By the way, if it doesn't get in, there's no complications, right? So if you keep things out that can hurt your body, right, and you bring in things that can help it, well, how cool is that, right?
That's everything.
And you know what the number one probably killer for most Americans are right now?
Tell me.
It's not HIV. It's calories. They're bringing in more calories than they need. The human body, you're gonna, because of your ancestors, because basically your ancestors dealt with famine, every calorie you eat is going to get in, right? Whether you need one of them or 100 of them, they're all going to get in.
Do you think it's like this? I always talk about the negative energy trap, and what happens to you as a kid gets brought forward when you're an adult. What's happened to us hundreds of years ago is still carried forward. Do you think like they were still panicked and we're not going to have enough food, which is why we have to eat so much? Do you think it's like that kind of carryover?
Yeah, I think
a little bit.
That's a great question. I think there's so many variables, so many factors to it. I just think that what we've done is we've simplified food and really turned it into a drug. Now, it's not really food. Reese's Buttercup, I love Reese's Buttercup, but it's not food. There's no Reese's Buttercup.
There's no reason to eat a Reese's peanut butter cup.
There's a lot of reasons if you like pleasure, but...
but I'm saying as far as if you think about your ultimate health and your well-being,
right.
Probably half the things you eat, there's probably no reason to eat it.
Right.
I'm not saying you're going to live a life where you're not going to have some food for fun or food for as a drug in a sense.
Right.
But if you're eating mostly to stay alive, be as healthy and efficient as you can, you probably wouldn't eat 3/4 of the stuff you eat.
No. And healthy food, by the way, can be fun. Fresh food, fresh vegetables are delicious. You don't really have to do that. No, one of the challenges we have in our culture is, if you're eating broccoli in January in New York, where'd it come from? It didn't come from, it's not farm to table. It's not fresh. I mean, I'm not knocking broccoli, but it's probably grown 3,000 miles away.
Better to eat that anyway.
Oh yeah,
right.
In many
probably
ways.
Better to eat that.
But it's certainly not going to be as flavorful. It's not going to have the same taste as if you just picked it and
How about salad? Is it important to eat a salad every day or every other day, or from a fiber standpoint? And is it the dressing that ultimately does you in?
It could be, but raw foods are very difficult to digest, and a lot of people are very stressed and very tired, and it takes a lot of energy. Your digestive system consumes a lot of your body's energy. As a matter of fact, your digestive system and brain are natural competitors. Blood's either going to your brain and muscles because there's a tiger chasing you, or back to your digestive system so you can break down and get some nourishment.
So you're not a fan of having a salad every day, but there's a lot of work to
For some, people who are in good health and have good energy and stuff like that, but there are plenty of people who come in to see me who systems are just so tired, they're so beat up, they're so stressed that maybe that's not the best choice then.
What is an easy digestive meal? What is an easy digestive meal?
Cooking vegetables.
Cooked vegetables.
There's actually a very interesting book called 'Sapiens: The Brief History of Mankind," and there's 'Sapiens."
We're readers on this. Readers are leaders, and learners are earners. We're all about it. We can't stop reading enough.
So
it's true.
So it's by this Israeli anthropologist named Harari. He's relatively famous, and he tries to explain how Homo sapiens, we were once a species that was at the bottom of the food chain. Had we rise to the top of the food chain? And there's a lot of possibilities, but one is that Homo sapiens as a group seem to be able to unite behind a common belief and form tribes and groups and work together. You see that happening all the time. But the second I thought was really interesting. He said when we discovered fire and started cooking food, First of all, it made it easier to digest, and secondly, it killed bacteria and other bugs that were coming along for the ride, and it allowed more of your blood supply to go to your brain, which accelerated the development of the brain. So,
Where's your book?
where's my book?
Is that coming? Is that, I mean, how do you put all this in one document so people can learn from all this?
That's a great question.
Is it on the table? I mean, do you consider yourself? I mean, I've been dying to ask you this actually, because I put you in a bunch of places in my new book. But do you consider yourself an entrepreneur though? In a lot of ways, your style of thinking.
I think I've been forced into that role because I consider myself somebody who cares for people and wants to, help people become as healthy as possible. And what I found is that we don't really offer that in the way that I felt it needed to be offered. So it took me a long time to figure out how to present this to people in a way that was legal, and because I'm not practicing medicine. I'm not suggesting, I'm not anti-medicine. I'm pro-medicine. When you have a medical condition, don't come to see me. But so I started to realize something very simple, that the basis of human physiology, really, when you come down to it, your health is dependent on your body doing two things really well. Number one is converting fuel into energy, because energy's life. At the end of the day, energy's life, right?
And you want the most amount.
And you want the most.
Yeah.
And as you get older and those systems become more beat up and more tired, it becomes less efficient, and that creates some struggles down the road. And the other is getting rid of waste. Your body has to get rid of all the poisons and toxins and things, and that's becoming a bigger issue because of the environment. And I'm not making a political statement, but
real.
We're bringing stuff in that we don't even have names for anymore. It's just there. So I realized, oh my God, it's really so simple. Now, the ability to convert fuel into energy is not that simple. First of all, again, it involves genetics, it involves age, it involves environmental influences. And the ability to get rid of waste is becoming more complicated because of exposure. But if you focused on that and just looked at people through that lens and said, hey, when you come in to see me and we do an assessment, all I'm really telling you is here's the evidence that your body is saying to us that it's not working as well as it could.
Is that a telltale sign about getting rid of waste? Like if you're not going to the bathroom every day, or how many times you go to the bathroom, is that a little bit of a telltale sign?
Sure, absolutely.
Almost to the point what you're eating is what you're getting rid of?
Or it indicates that systems are not performing the job the way they're supposed to.
How often should you be going to the bathroom?
Oh, multiple times a day. I mean, you should try. It's saying how often should you be getting rid of waste? As often as you can, really. I mean, it shouldn't be.
So my wife has told me about taking that garbage out, but
right. I mean, do you want your garbage to collect for 7 days in your house? I mean, but in the human body,
is going to the bathroom once a day
may be enough. It may be. I mean, it helps. Certainly helpful. It's better than once every 3 days or once every 5 days. What I find funny is when what people consider their norm. When you come in and say, "Do you go to the bathroom every day?" Oh, no. Well, how often do you go? Well, once every 3 or 4 days. I said, that's
bowel movement we're talking about.
Bowel movement. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I said that's the definition of constipation. Constipation is a condition that can lead to some more serious problems, because where's that waste sitting? It's sitting in your colon, by the way, where there's a massive population of bacteria and other microbes who are having a field day, breaking down what you're not getting rid of. And where's all that waste going? It's actually getting into your body, and your body now has to process all this stuff.
Couple quick questions. Omega-3. There's something like there's this medicine you would take for what you just talked about. That help clear out your colon. Good stuff to take, or overrated if you're eating right?
I think in the beginning, it's nice to take things that can help assist an organ that's been injured to get better. But once the organ is better, you should be able to not have to rely on that, whether it's different forms of magnesium, which are natural stool softeners, or probiotics to help the flora of your gut.
The probiotics healthy?
Yeah, I mean, first, again,
depends.
It depends. Everything is case dependent.
Yeah.
There is again, I hate to say this, but there's just no person. I wish there was. I wish everybody was a Fiat, and then we can, that's my plug for Fiats, but then it would be easy to fix. Then be one size fits all. I think that's what you learned over 40 years of being in healthcare. You learn that there is no body.
I'll give you the final word here. What do you say to people out there, and there are many of them that are a little lost? If you had one opportunity to tell the world a message, what would the message be?
My message would be really conscientious of what you bring into your body. Be really, really careful about what you bring in, eating or drinking or smoking or, breathing. I mean, because, you can easily overload a system. You can bring in things that eventually cause some serious complications down the road.
Bruce Bloom, I got to tell you, I don't know where I'd be today if I didn't hook up with him about a little over 10 years ago. Been a blessing for me. And, if you don't have a health doctor in your life, you're not taking the health part of your game seriously, you can start today. There's no better time than today. And I'm not talking about a diet, and I'm not talking about losing weight or all of a sudden you're going to run and work out tomorrow. I'm talking about how you're going to gain health.
That's it. That's the game.